Well, hello, 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 beautiful people. Yes, it's been a while. It's been a while since my last podcast interview, but you know what? It was a much needed break. Sometimes I have to take my own advice and pause and reset, which I'm still resetting, by the way. But here I am back again. Certain things that are a little bit different. Before I had the pause reset brunch podcast, and then I introduced Pause Reset Unplugged. Well, now everything is under Pause Reset Unplugged. So I'm excited. All right. So for any of you who do not know who I am, my name is Natalie Francis-Clarke, and I am the host of Pause Reset Unplugged. Doing my reset, I will tell you all about it on a one-on-one, me and you. Um, but as for today, I'm very excited for who my guest is. I've watched her grow from middle childhood to young adulthood, and her name is Decima Michael. So before we welcome Decima, I just want to read her bio for you so you can hear all about this remarkable young lady. Decima Michael is founder and owner of Blooming Flowers Academy LLC. Her family is from the Caribbean island of Antigua and Barbuda, where she reflects her rich West Indian heritage. In 2020, Miss Michael earned a BA in sociology from Greensboro College with minors and concentrations in psychology, criminal justice, and cultural studies. She has also completed coursework in child and adolescent development and early childhood education. In January 2022, Ms. Michael founded Blooming Flowers Academy, crediting her vision and purpose to God. She is now in her third year at KIPP Change Academy in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she serves as the lead fourth grade English language arts teacher. Ms. Michael takes great pride in nurturing the minds of the next generation, using her knowledge to foster emotionally intelligent, patient, kind, and loving students. Let's welcome Decima Michael.
Thank you. Thank you so
Okay,
much for
so
having me, Natalie. I appreciate you.
no wonder, no problem at all. So I always like to ask my guests, what are they eating or drinking at the moment? Anything?
Um, I'm not eating or drinking anything, but I do have my puppy. He's sitting here, so he's my company for
Okay,
the time being.
that is fine. And strange as it is, I left my water somewhere, so I guess you and we're not sipping on anything right
Mm-mm.
now.
No.
So, Des, as I like to call her, and many of us love to call her, I'm just gonna get right into it. All right. So, what inspired you to pursue studies in sociology, psychology, criminal justice, and cultural studies? And how have these disciplines shaped your educational philosophy?
I love that. That's a great question, actually. So initially, when I went to college, I was a criminal justice major. I watched a little too much Law and Order, SVU specifically, and I wanted to be a detective. That's like what I wanted to do. And when I finally got to college, going to Greensboro College is very small and private, so you have the same professors over and over and over throughout your career. And I had this one professor. He would have been my professor for all my criminal justice courses, and I did not fall in love with the subject, and I didn't love how he taught it. But you have to take your gen ed classes. And so I took sociology, which is something that I was never exposed to prior to college. And I fell in love with the subject. I fell in love with how society works, what shapes society, socioeconomic classes, all those different things. And so at that moment, my sophomore year, I declared my major in sociology, and then I minored in criminal justice. Um, I've always been interested in the mind. So psychology was just one of those things to add on. And cultural diversity in studies, duh. I mean, I'm West Indian. What else? Like that was a no-brainer for me. I really enjoy learning about other cultures, ethnicities, nationalities, and also religions. And so that shaped everything that I am. And I didn't even know that I needed those elements to help me. But it was great actually studying those things. And the second part of the question you said, what was the
How have the disciplines shaped your educational philosophy?
I definitely look at things from different perspective or different lens because of my education. So instead of jumping to conclusions about how people interact and why people interact, I oftentimes see myself leaning on my education and have a different understanding perspective about human interactions in
Mhm.
general, which I think helped me throughout all aspects of life. So within my career, building relationships with other people, and then also specifically my students. So it definitely plays a role in everything that I do.
Okay, all right. So Des, share how and why you credit God as your motivation to establish Blooming Flowers Academy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love telling this story because it's crazy. So I actually closed on my house in 2021. I bought my house at
She's a
20.
homeowner.
Yeah, I'm a
Mhm.
homeowner. I got my house, I think I was 23. And so at the time I was working in corporate America and, doing what I thought I had to do. It was post-pandemic. Things were dicey, working from home. I was not happy. So literally I closed in August and by September I quit my job. And so it was a scary place to be, but I was like, you have 3 months to figure it out. I paid my bills up for 3 months. I was like, okay, let's see what we have. So I went back to things that I was good at. I remember when I was younger, I would volunteer at summer camp programs. I would tutor. I would teach courses at school. And so I was like, okay, well, let me just go back to working with kids, right? So I started nannying in 2021 and it was going well. So I'm self employed now. And by January of 2022, I was here in my house and I throughout this process I was praying where I was like, okay, God, like I don't know what I'm doing. I really, really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna trust the process. And so by January, I had this dream 3 times in a row. My church was just filled with kids. Like it's filled with kids. I'm at the pulpit and I'm preaching or teaching to these kids. I can't see their faces. I know they're small little children. And the first night I had the dream, I was like, okay, whatever. But having that same dream 3 nights in a row, I knew that God was speaking to me. And it was at that very moment that I knew that working with children was my purpose in life. I tried all different aspects of things, um, corporate America, all these other things, and it just wasn't working for me. And
Mhm.
so that's when I really started to dive deep. And I was like, I'm going to take this leap of faith. And I got my LLC January of 2022 for Blooming Flowers Academy. And by June of 2022, I launched my pilot summer camp program. Um, and the rest is history. So, all
How
that's
did you
to
come
say,
up with the name? How did you come up with the name?
I always said that kids are seeds, right?
Okay.
That need nurturing. And so, if a seed is, nurtured and watered and cared for, it blossoms. And so I was like, blooming flowers. Like, I want my kids to be blooming flowers and really harvest. So that's how I came with Blooming Flowers Academy.
That's awesome. Now I
Yeah,
know I cut you off. You were about to
no,
say
it's okay.
something. Okay.
It's okay. It's
Okay.
okay. I was just saying that, like, I grew up, in a religious household where I went to church. I grew up Pentecostal. And so, although I've shifted a little bit, God has always been the center of my life.
Mhm.
I pray nonstop and I meditate for vision and purpose. And He definitely has been answering my prayers. So, can't do anything without God. I'm gonna just say that. I'm gonna name that right now. So, yeah.
Okay. Love that. As a lead fourth grade English language arts teacher, that's a lot to say, at KIP Change Academy, which I want you to dwell on what KIP stands for. But what have been some of your most rewarding and challenging aspects of your role over the past 3 years? I mean, you're a fairly young teacher,
Mhm.
but now you're, a little bit more seasoned.
Oh,
How
see
has it been
the
rewarding,
girl.
and challenging over these last
Yes.
years?
So I would say the most, well, let me start with what KIP stands for. So KIP,
Mhm.
KIPP stands for Knowledge is Power Program. And so we have schools all across the country, but it was primarily founded in Texas. In
Okay.
Houston alone, there's 33 KIP schools. So we're now KIP Charlotte, and they have equalized KIP across the US. So that's what KIP stands for. Um, and I think the most rewarding thing or thing that I've experienced recently as a fourth grade ELA teacher was my last school year, the one that just ended. I actually had, in my school's history, it's been 8 years, the
Mm-hmm.
team of fourth grade, no, thank you. The team of fourth grade teachers, we were all technically first year lead teachers. We had the highest EOG scores in the school's history. And so that just showed to me the dedication, and it doesn't matter how many years of experience you have, but the
Mm-hmm.
love and the passion that you have as a teacher and how you tailor tailor education to each student need is what really matters, and that's what the success comes from. And that was just so gratifying to know that even though we weren't the most seasoned teachers, we were able to collaborate and produce the highest results in our school's history. And there was no doubt in my mind that my students were ready for the next grade. I don't I don't know. That just made me so happy to see that. And just to see even my students who were in the EC department, to see their growth, like
Mm-hmm.
to see them be able to formulate and write sentences, to see them have more confidence in reading, just the growth that you see of each student by the end of the school year is rewarding in itself. Um, the most challenging part, I would say, about being a lead teacher is schools are different now. Things You have students of multi levels all in one class. So gifted, honors, standard, EC students are all in one class. So you have this one curriculum that you have to make now accessible to every level of student within that one classroom. That is extremely challenging, especially not having an EC background. But
And
it's something
clarify
that
EC.
um, it's special needs. So
Okay.
students who have learning disabilities, whether that be they fall under selective mute, autism, um, ID miles, all different intellectually delayed, those types
Wow.
of students are all in the same class because
Oh.
they want us to be equitable, right? Um, Typically, EC students have been in their own classrooms, so they weren't getting the socialization as atypical, or how do I say it? Students who did not have disabilities they weren't getting that same experience. So that's why they have moved to an all inclusive environment, which you do see um I'm sorry, I'm biting my tongue, the sociological benefits of it. But it is very challenging as a teacher to meet all the needs of all the students on all different levels.
Wow.
Very
I didn't know they were doing that now. Interesting.
challenging. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
No.
that's the
Okay.
challenge, and that's the reward. Um, being a teacher.
Now, I have a question for you as an educator for sure. If
Mm-hmm.
there were no restrictions, and I mean no monetary restrictions, no political red tape, nothing. What are two things that you would improve or change in the educational system? So you get a chance to improve or change two things.
Okay.
What?
The first thing that I would change is the structure of just teaching subjects. I think we need to appeal to students who are intellectually inclined in other areas and really foster that. So, for example, I did have a student who was intellectually delayed. So academically, he did not thrive. Reading, writing were not his strong points,
Mm-hmm.
but he could build anything. He could draw anything. Yes, you might have art as an elective, but that's not the core foundation of, your subjects, right? So
Mm-hmm.
one thing I would change is building on a alternative intellects and really pushing those students and making that as much as a priority as it is to learn how to read. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, but that's something that I would definitely change. And the other thing I would change is I would make all schools have unlimited resources to access all students. Resourcing tends to be very limited. And so as teachers, you might not have the supplies you need to fulfill the needs of your students. Um, they might not have speech therapy available. They might not have other services available to your students. So I would literally have unlimited resources so that every child would be successful. So in a
Mm-hmm.
nutshell, I would improve the appeal to other intellectual abilities apart from just subject, and I would make unlimited resourcing for all.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, let's hope one day that does happen. There's so much red tape and restrictions
And politics, yes.
and politics
So
for sure. And
yeah.
the children are the ones who are definitely being
Impacted by that. Absolutely.
definitely, definitely.
Mhm.
So, Des, you emphasize fostering emotionally intelligent, patient, kind, and loving students,
Yes.
right? Um, how do you incorporate those values into your teaching methods and curriculum
Mhm.
at Blooming Flowers Academy?
Ooh, okay, that's great. So, as I mentioned before, for Blooming Flowers, we had our pilot year in 2022. So that
Hmm.
was a learning experience for me. We are relaunching in 2025. I got some great news I'll share with you in a moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, but as part of that curriculum would be or is morning meetings. So morning meetings are a safe space that you create for your students or your kids, where you have open conversations, you have open circles where you talk about real time topics or things that are appeal to emotions and
Hmm.
create that safe space where kids really learn that we are human. And although my age is higher, your age is lower, we still have emotions. Um, so part of that is having a prompt that we talk about. Another part of that is words of affirmation. I am very big on power in the tongue and manifestation. And so I do not skip words of affirmations with my kids, and I want them to know how important their lives are and how important your words are in your process of life. So that's another thing. I also teach them have SEL lessons. So about bullying, give them resources to express themselves. So maybe um, not a child might not be able to verbalize. So I talk to them about journaling, also yoga, physical activities, things of that nature to make them a more rounded individual, and really just being kind and being the example of what I want them to be. You can't approach kids with a closed heart, not being open minded, not being graceful. You have to practice essentially what you're preaching.
Hmm.
So I partake in all of those activities, the opening circles. I let them know like what Miss Michael is going through or things like this, having honest conversations to just humanize us. I feel like we're so structured in the moments of life that we don't really think about how little people feel, but also how big people feel. So
Mm-hmm.
those are just some things that we do at Blooming Flowers and that I will continue to do at our relaunch in 2025.
Awesome, awesome. And it's so funny because yes, as you say, the little people, they um they're very much in tune
Hmm.
to a lot of things. So I had the chances, to foster,
Foster, yeah.
and it was so interesting. Um, he was a little character for sure, and I love the fact OT helped tremendously. Um,
Mhm.
so he was able to express, which is so different from my generation,
Right.
and even, those a little bit younger than me and so forth. He was able to express, I'm sad, or, you know,
Hmm.
um, or you're not happy right now. Like when I was told,
Identifying
like
emotions.
you're not
Yeah.
happy right now, and it's like, wow, okay, because
Hmm.
these are things I didn't do. I'm nearly 50. We definitely didn't
No,
do
he
those
said,
type of things.
right,
So
right.
I do commend you, on in your approach.
Thank you.
I think is necessary because this younger generation, they're different. And
Ooh,
I don't
we
know
could
if it
have a
has to
whole
do,
nother we could have a whole nother
yeah, and I
conversation
don't know
about that.
if social media or just the
A
happenings
big
of the
influence.
world or whatever it is, but yeah, they're quite interesting.
Very much
So,
so. Imagine when they're starting to go through puberty at that lovely age of 10 when you get them.
wow.
I love it though. I love it. That's when you really start to see their personalities and they're learning life like real
Mm-hmm.
time. It's just like, wow, okay, so
Mm-hmm.
this is important. Yeah, great.
Definitely. So looking ahead,
Hmm.
you said that you're gonna relaunch, Blooming Flowers Academy
Yes.
LLC. Um,
LLC.
what are your aspirations for the growth and the
Mhm.
impact?
Oh, that's a great question. So, growth wise, so you always do your business plan and what you would like to see your business to be. So currently, we actually got a contract with the Bethel Enrichment Center here in Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Mm,
So we will be having our summer camp program in partnership with that organization, and the facility is exceptional. So then within the next 1 to 3 years, what I would like to see for Blooming Flowers is to be able to contract with churches and nonprofit organizations
mm,
within the Charlotte area. So creating a program that can be duplicated and replicated in different spaces. So my goal is to have at least one in Cabarrus, one in Mecklenburg, and one in Rowan County within the next 3 years. Long term is I would like to have Blooming Flowers be its own facility where I provide services for ages 0 to 16. That's including daycare, preschool, after school, summer camp programs, teen programs, and also trades. I feel like trades are very much so
mhm,
under prioritized. So trades and as well as college career readiness. But one thing I notice in North Carolina, teens are often left out. You see a lot of programs and summer camp programs for, elementary age, but middle and high school, they're not having a job. Then it's like, what are they doing, right? Unless
mhm,
it's sports. So I really want to create a, a child care center that has resources where if at 16 you're interested in doing cosmetology, I have a class you can take courses there. If you're interested in doing mechanic work, I want my kids to have access to that before they are in college, have just be able to dabble. So long term, that's my goal, to have a child care network.
I love it. I love it.
Mm. Thank you.
So with all this, you are an educator. You have your LLC business in
Mhm.
which correct me if I'm wrong, are you turning it into a nonprofit status?
I have not gotten there yet. It's
Okay.
something that has definitely been on my radar, but no, we're not.
Okay. All right. All right. Now, if somebody would like to find out more information or to even say, hey, I have some resources, or, how can I get involved? Or how can I fund? How can I sponsor? How do they get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So currently I am revamping the website for our relaunch, but I do have our Instagram set up as well as our Facebook. So Instagram is Blooming Flowers LLC. And then our Facebook is Blooming Flowers Academy LLC. I also have my business number to just provide that.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah. So my business number is 704-980-0499. You can contact me directly through that text message and phone calls. And then also our email is Blooming Flowers Academy LLC at gmail.com. And I'm the primary contact again, Decima Michael. If you're interested in giving to Blooming Flowers, we do have a Cash App, which is Blooming Flowers LLC, as well as a Venmo, which is Blooming Flowers LLC.
Repeat that last part again, as well as Venmo, you said?
Venmo, yes, Venmo is Blooming Flowers. I believe Venmo is Blooming Flowers Academy LLC.
Okay, okay, okay. All
Yes.
right, so, okay, educator, entrepreneur,
Mhm.
um, dog mom, uh,
Dog mom.
um, homeowner, just being a beautiful young adult, blossoming, also blooming into this world as well, right? You're blossoming. How do you practice self-care?
Self-care is a must for me, and I practice it in multiple ways. I am so happy you asked.
Oh,
So,
Lord.
so my self-care, I'm very intentional about self-care. I get monthly massages.
Mhm.
I have a lovely, lovely life coach that I go to biweekly. I also journal a lot. I'm a journaler. I learned that that's the way that I can express myself. I'm phenomenal with words. That's exactly why I'm an English teacher, not a math teacher. And so my I can't do math to save my life. But I do journal at least twice a week. Um, I love to read. I do have a reading hobby. You can't be an ELA teacher not to like to read. So I oftentimes take bubble baths 2 to 3 times a week, and I read my book with my candles lit. I prioritize my self care, and the last thing I do is I go to the chiropractor weekly. So yeah, there is no alternative. If I'm not taking care of myself, I can't do all the things that I do.
Mhm.
So yeah, and I also go to the gym twice a week minimally. So we self care net. Okay, like
All right,
I don't play about
pause and
me.
reset.
Yes,
I started out by
ma'am.
saying I had to take a hiatus because there
Yeah.
was a lot, and it was
Mm-hmm.
only one me. So,
1 year, right?
um, but anything else you want the audience to know, Des?
Um, I will say, life has its ways of dealing you cards, and it's how you play those cards.
Mhm.
I feel like everybody has a background. Everybody comes from something. Everybody has a story, and I think the most important part is not letting that story or that past define you, and not playing a victim. Liberating yourself and finding ways to be successful by any means necessary. And understanding that we all have something that has occurred in our life that has helped shape us or hinder who we are today.
Mhm.
But to be the victor over a victim. And so I say that to say I lost my father when I was 3, single mom, household. But I never let that define me or stop me from achieving the things that I want or desire out of life. And my mom has always been a great support system for me. Every day, it's not easy. You have your days where you have self doubt, but I would just say remember where you came from and always keep that vision of where you want to go. and not let your past dictate your future, and always keep God first. That's really what I try to live by. It's not perfect, but that's what I do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay,
Hmm.
that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you for as you said, don't let the past dictate you. Well, thank you for not letting your day
We're not gonna talk
ruin
about
this
it.
moment.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You know, I'm so happy, as like I said, seeing you grow from here, to
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you're taller than me by maybe half an inch. I don't know. But I just want to thank you for being my guest today. And once again, just let folks know how they can find out more about Blooming Flowers Academy LLC and how to get in contact with you. Just give them that once again, please.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Natalie. Again, our Instagram is Blooming Flowers LLC. Our Facebook is Blooming Flowers Academy LLC. And for email, Blooming Flowers Academy LLC at gmail.com. And for direct contact, 704-980-0499.
Awesome. So once again, I want to thank Decima Michael for being my guest today. If you are out there and you are interested in being a guest on Pause Reset Unplugged,
I love that.
you can email me at pauseresetbrunch@gmail.com. You can go on website www.naturalandting. That's naturalandting.com. Or you can send me a direct message under Natural and Ting LLC on Instagram. Okay. So once again, Des, thank you so much. And for everyone out there that's listening, have an awesome day on purpose. God bless.
Thank you so much, Natalie.